So today we're completing our lesson, Life in Antarctica, but let me start by sharing some questions in order to reflect on the first part. We said that Antarctica wasn't actually explored till two of the explorers came. Who are they and what did they do? Reem Gouda, go ahead.
We have the Roald Amundsen and Robert Scott. They are the two explorers. They have been in two teams. In the end, the Amundsen team won. Yani they reached the South Pole first.
And the other team reached the land
after 34 days.
34 days. Thank you, Arim. Why was it important to discover, or for which group was it important to discover Antarctica, Judy?
Because I don't know.
All right. For which group was it important? Yes.
Memorials were built for both of them.
I mean, group of people. Listen usually to Kenzie. Kenzie?
Discovered that helped the scientists and the explorer come after them.
Thank you very much. Actually, the discoveries have helped scientists and the explorer that came after them. What about the Antarctic Treaty? What's the Antarctic Treaty? What was its purpose? And what's meant by a treaty? Let's start by the definition of a treaty. Adam Guayet, what's meant by a treaty?
It's an agreement or a contract between two or more nations, or governments or other political groups.
Thank you. Okay, this treaty was signed by how many countries, Judy?
12 countries.
In which year?
1959.
All right. The Antarctic Treaty states some purposes or some aspects. What are they? Noor al-Mahi?
The continent of Antarctica should be used only for scientific research and peaceful purposes.
Yes. Thank you, Noor. So after that, we said that we need to regulate the relations between countries among them in the continent, because other countries have claimed the rights in order to acknowledge part of the or sections of the continent for their scientific research. So we had decided by the Antarctic Treaty System. What was decided by the Antarctic Treaty System? Hannah Hamdi?
That because Antarctica is not considered a nation or a country and it has no government, issues relating to the continent's use and protection are decided by the Antarctic Treaty System. It is a group of representatives from 48 countries that have interests in Antarctica. Important decisions affecting Antarctica's environment, wildlife, and resident scientists are made by annual meetings of the Antarctic Treaty System.
Thank you, Hannah. So then we said that actually it was called the scientific continent. Why is it called the scientific continent? Aysel al-Rifai. Aysel al-Rifai, what it is called the scientific continent? Is Aysel here, or should I move her to the waiting room? Yusuf Ahmed, go ahead.
Because of the harsh climate in Antarctica, there isn't any human there yet. So they used it for scientific researches.
Thank you, Yusuf, very much. Yes, because of the harsh climate there, it's only has almost no human settlements, so it is used only for scientific research. How is living in Antarctica? How do people, or actually scientists, live in Antarctica? What is the season that they work in, and what about the winter season? Who can tell me? Okay, Noor al-Mahi.
Because summer is not, the weather is not as brutal as winter, yani? Not as hard.
Yes.
And the summer temperatures usually remain below freezing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no powerful winds or blizzards to cause harm.
Yes. So they have built something called they have built something called what in order to do their researches in? What is it and what's meant to by it?
Me برضو ولا someone else?
Yes, يا نور.
A research station.
Yes.
It's a base where scientists live and work.
All right. So the research station actually was built in Antarctica in order to have like this close building together for a special insulation against the harsh winter and to be used for scientific research. Okay, what's life inside the research station? Who can tell me what's life like inside the research station? Okay, let me check. Judy?
Okay, buildings set close together,
Yes.
each built with a special insulation against the brutally cold and windy weather.
This is number one. What about food and fuel and everything?
The food is stored away to feed teams of scientists for a year or more. Having extra food is important because violent storms can happen at any time, making it possible for planes or ships to bring in fresh food and other supplies.
Thank you, Judy. So we stopped at this part. Today we're starting from the ozone layer. Who can start reading? Tell us what's ozone and what's the importance of it. Who can start reading? Yala Noor, start. Nano?
One important area of study focuses on the ozone layer that is high in Earth's atmosphere. Ozone is a gas in the atmosphere that absorbs harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Through decades of research and study, scientists discovered that the layer of ozone in our planet's atmosphere had thinned and decreased. This means that less ozone exists to protect Earth and life on Earth from damaging solar radiation. The two locations on Earth where levels of ozone are the lowest are over the Arctic Circle and over Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. Loss of ozone affects all life on the planet. Scientists in Antarctica and other parts of the world are working to find a way to protect and preserve the ozone layer.
All right, so ozone layer is very important. What's the importance of the ozone layer? Who can tell me? Hannah Hamdi? What's the importance of the ozone layer?
It's important for the Earth. It protects it. It absorbs harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun, and without it, it affects all the life on the planet.
All right. What's meant by ozone? Who can tell me, Yusuf? Define ozone. Yusuf.
Yes, miss.
I repeat the question.
Yes, please.
What's meant by ozone?
Ozone is a gas in the atmosphere that absorbs harmful ultraviolet radiations from the sun.
All right. Where are the two locations where levels of ozone are the lowest? Where are the two locations?
Arctic Circle and over Antarctica and Southern Ocean.
Okay. Thank you, Yusuf. What's the effect of the loss of ozone? Reem, what's the effect of the loss of ozone?
How the loss of ozone affect all life on the planet. Scientists in Antarctica and other parts of the world are working to find a way to protect and preserve the ozone layer.
Thank you, Ali. Let's move on to studying Earth from above. How to study Earth from above. Hannah Hamdi, read, please.
Okay. Have you ever wondered how scientists are able to figure out what lies below the surface of Earth? For example, how do scientists know what landforms lie under the thick Antarctic ice sheet? Scientists are able to study what they cannot see, such as layers of rock under the ice, by using an amazing kind of technology called remote sensing. Remote sensing involves using scientific instruments placed on board weather balloons, airplanes, and satellites to study the planet. Remote sensing technology is used to collect data, allowing scientists to take images and measurements of objects and places that would be impossible to reach in person. Some remote sensing equipment emits electromagnetic waves that create detailed images of landforms and bodies of water buried under miles of ice. This technology has allowed scientists to study Antarctica's rock foundation and the floor of the Southern Ocean. Remote sensing has helped geographers learn more about how Antarctica's land, water, and atmosphere interact and affect the global climate system.
All right, so we said that we have several ways in order to study the Earth from above. Scientists need to know more about landforms that are under the thick Antarctic layer, that such as ice sheet, because you know that under the ice sheet, it is very deep. So we need to dig deep in order to search or to study. So they've used technology which is called remote sensing. What's meant by remote sensing? Who can tell me? What's meant by remote sensing? Let's ask Rashwan, go ahead.
Remote sensing?
Yes.
It's a technology which involves using scientific instruments placed on board weather balloons, airplanes, and satellites to study the planet.
Okay, remote sensing technology actually is used for several purposes. What are they, Judy?
Balloons, airplanes, and satellites.
Mm-hmm. They are used for different purposes. What are they? To collect what? To allow what?
Collect data, allowing scientists to take images and measurements of objects and places that would be possible to reach in person.
Yes. Also,
some remote sensing equipment emits electromagnetic waves that create detailed images of landforms and bodies of water buried under miles of ice.
Yes.
This technology has allowed scientists to study Antarctica's rock foundation and the floor of the Southern Ocean. Remote sensing has helped the geographers learn more about how Antarctica's land, water, and atmosphere interact and affect the global climate system.
All right, so remote sensing actually has four main purposes. Number one, it helps scientists in order to collect data and take images and measurements of objects and places. Number two, it helps emitting electromagnetic waves, which helps in order to take detailed images of landforms and bodies of water under the ice. Number three, it helps scientists to study the rock formation. Number four, it has helped geographers to learn more about the Antarctic lands and water, also the atmosphere. These are the four main purposes. Who can repeat them again? The four main purposes, please. Okay. Let's have Hannah Durgham.
It helped to collect data and allowing scientists to take image and measurements of objects and places that would be possible to reach in person. Second one, equipment emits electromagnetic wave that created detailed image of landforms and bodies of water under the ice. And allowed the scientists to study Antarctica rocks foundation and the floor of Southern Ocean. And also helped the geographers learn more about the Antarctica land and water and atmosphere interact.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to research yields close. Okay, who can read this part? Aysel Rifai, read. Aysel Rifai. whenever I ask someone to do something and is not here, actually I consider him absent. Okay, Kenzie Tahan.
The research work done in the Antarctica has resulted in many amazing discoveries. Scientists have learned about our planet's birth and elevation over time. And they found the clue about the orbit of the universe by comparing the rocks and the fossils found in Antarctica to those found on other continents, as the scientists had determined that the Antarctica continent was once part of the huge landmass. It's called Gondwana. Antarctica, Asia, and Africa, and other continents broke away from the supercontinent millions of years ago and drifted across the Earth's surface as a result of the plate tectonic.
All right, so he said here that the research work done in Antarctica has resulted in many amazing discoveries. What are the discoveries that they found? Nujaina?
Scientists have learned about planet's birth and evolution over time, and they found clues about the origins of the universe.
All right, this is number one. Number two?
They
compare two things.
Okay. Scientists have determined that the Antarctic continent was once part of a huge landmass called Gondwana.
Yes. And they have compared rocks and fossils found in Antarctica?
By comparing rocks and fossils found in Antarctica to those found on the other continents.
Yes. Okay. So Antarctica, Asia, and Africa and other continents actually broke away from the supercontinent millions of years ago, and they have drifted across the Earth's surface as a result of a plate tectonics. So when they have researched, they have managed to find great discoveries. What are these discoveries? Number one, they have known a lot about the Earth's birth and evolution. Number two, they have found clues of the Earth's universe, the origin of the universe. Number three, the scientists have determined that the Antarctic continent was part of a huge landmass called Gondwana, which means that Antarctica and Asia, Africa, Europe, all of these large continents were originally one huge land mass. These are the great discoveries that you have found. Okay, Yusuf, can you complete reading about the climate change? Yusuf, climate.
Another major area of research in Antarctica is climate change. Throughout satellite imagery and local measurements, geographers have learned that the Antarctica ice sheet is shrinking. Many people are concerned that this shrinkage might be caused by global warming. This concern is twofold. First, scientists fear that the impact of climate change would permanently damage Antarctica's environment and ecosystems. Second, Antarctica is seen as a global barometer or an indicator of what is happening to the climate of the entire planet. Signs such as melting ice and shrinking icebergs tell geographers that scientists that global temperatures are rising quickly as massive chunks of ice calve or break away from Antarctica's glaciers. More icebergs clutter the surrounding waters. This makes traveling by ship in these areas more difficult and dangerous. Even more serious is the possibility that as these icebergs melt, global sea levels will rise. Rising sea levels would make survival impossible in many parts of the world. Climate change is also affecting the food supplies of Antarctica land and sea animals. Scientists believe that global warming and changing water currents are affecting the amount of plankton and krill in the region. Recent studies have found low population of these tiny water organisms in the waters around Antarctica. Without enough plankton and krill to eat, fish will die off or leave the area. This leaves seals and penguins without enough fish to eat. This disruption in the local food chain could have triple consequences for Antarctica's animal life.
So actually, I can summarize this part into 3 main points. We said that the climate change actually is not affecting Antarctica itself. It is affecting the whole world. So if we're talking about number one, the major effects of the Antarctica's climate change, we know that the reason behind climate change would be the global warming. Because of the global warming, the ice sheet is shrinking, which means that it is turning into more water. So the environment and the ecosystem would be affected or damaging too. Number two, actually, Antarctica is seen as a global barometer or as indicator of what's happening to the climate in the entire planet. Why? Because it happens first in Antarctica. For example, we can notice the global warming first when we see Antarctica's ice melting. Then we can notice it in our countries when we see the rising temperature. So it is very helpful in order to notice the climate change. Number three, actually it affects the food supplies of the Antarctic land and other parts of the world. Why? Because as the changing water currents are affecting the amount of plankton and krill in the region. So it has found low populations of these tiny water organisms, which helps fish in order to have their own food. So fish will die off and will leave the area without any food also for seals and penguins. So this will affect the food chain all over Antarctica and also all over the world. So let's summarize this in main 2 points. The climate change has been affected by the global warming. We can notice that the climate change in Antarctica affects the whole world because we notice it first in Antarctica, then in other areas. Number three, it also affects the world food chain because when there is no enough plankton and krill for fish, fish will die off. Then if there are not enough fish for penguins and seals, they will also die, and which leaves us with terrible consequences for the Antarctica's animal life. The last paragraph taken a tour. We can read it before I end the session. Fadia Hagag.
Miss, so that I can't talk right, I can't open the mic right now because my Wi-Fi will close suddenly.
It's okay, but Fadia, I want to ask you something about your homework. Did you send all of your homeworks? Please communicate with me because I can't hear you. You can send me a message after the session. Okay, Hannah Hamdi, please read this part quickly. The session is about to end.
Sally, hi.
It's okay, Fadia. Send me a message after the session because your Wi-Fi is dying. Yes, Hannah, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Miss Sally, can you hear me?
Hannah Hamdi.
Okay. The bitterly cold icy shores of Antarctica might not seem like a great place to spend a vacation. Still, about 6,000 tourists visit Antarctica each year. Most visitors are interested in seeing the incredible natural beauty of the area, taking photographs of wildlife and visiting research stations. Some are excited by the idea of visiting a harsh, dangerous place that few humans will ever see firsthand. Most tourists choose Antarctica because they want an adventure more than a vacation. Thanks to the work of the scientists who have studied Antarctica, humans have come a long way in understanding this mysterious continent. However, there is still much to learn. Geographers and other scientists living and working in Antarctica are dedicated to their research. With each passing year, They discover more clues about our planet's past. They also use what they learned to make predictions about our planet's future. Antarctica's secrets are slowly being uncovered, but much remains unknown about this frozen land at the bottom of the world.
So as Hannah mentioned, I'll summarize it quickly. Actually, it is very cold. It has icy shores. So people only will come, or around 6,000 tourists visit Antarctica just to enjoy taking the natural beauty of the area and to take photographs of the wildlife. This is the main reason they come. But actually, the idea of visiting a harsh, dangerous place actually is not that of a good of idea, because they want, people who come there only want to come for an adventure, not for a vacation. This is number one. Number two, actually the work of the scientists that have studied Antarctica have helped us a long way to understand the mysterious continent, but still we still have more to learn, and geographers and other scientists who live there and work there are very dedicated to the research, and every day they are giving us more information about the unknown frozen land. Okay, so people go there only for an adventure, to take tourists, to take photographs of the wildlife, and to enjoy the frozen land. That's it. Anyone want to ask any question about the lesson? Because I need to end the session now. For those who haven't taken the quiz, I will open the link inshallah at the end of the day. After 1 o'clock it will be opened. Okay, I'll see you next week inshallah. Bye.